Well, welcome back for another episode of the Chamber Podcast. My name is Rob Johnson. We have a very special episode for you. Joining me in studio today is Chuck Dodge. He is Mr. Enthusiasm. He's representing Double Win Enterprises. Chuck, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks, Rob. Glad to be here and share some enthusiasm and some insight with folks today.
You did a good job on that intro, because if you would have came in reading it real stale, they would have been like, Mr. Enthusiasm, who the hell is this guy? It's nothing, no juice in the tank. So, Chuck, tell me, so if you meet someone in an elevator, they say, Chuck, what is it that you do? What do you tell them?
I'll just start out with a story. I'd say there are these two caterpillars. They're sitting on the ground, and they're talking to each other. One looks up and sees this beautiful butterfly hovering above them. Turns to the other one and says, "You'll never get me up in one of those things." And that's the wrap, because there's no way that caterpillar is not going to emerge into that beautiful butterfly. In other words, we get in our own way.
Yeah.
We get in our own way and we don't even know it. And we've got a lot of signs along the way to help direct us, because life wants to give us maybe what life wants, not necessarily what we want. I just finished reading a book, The Surrender Experiment, and the author, Michael Singer, said, surrender to what life wants to give you. Some people might call it God, doesn't matter. But life is always giving you something, and have the courage to move into it.
Okay. So do you see life as like a omnipresent force, or how do you... When people talk about, all right, so life is throwing certain things at me, how does that work? How does that manifest in people's lives?
Well, first of all, we all start with wanting something. We have desires, and then we really put them out into the, if you will, the field out there. It's outside of us. Let's call it the quantum field. It's out there. If you say you want something, it's out there. Go get it. Now, that would be just, if I stop right there and, how do I get it? Well, you've got to think about it. You've got to come from it, think about it often, and align yourself with it through feeling, through, hey, it's already done. It's like, Rob, if you take a vacation, or you want to take a vacation, you decide where you want to go, and it's as if you're already there. You're telling people about it. This is what we're going to do when we're going to get there. Well, why don't we do that with our life? Well, we could do the same thing, and it would happen in the same way. So now what we get to do is unlearn many of the things that we've learned through our life. Life is a certain way. I have what I call the 4 S's versus the 4 E's. We do the 4 S's. The S's are stress, strain, struggle, and suffer. We seem to we don't enjoy it, but we get used to it.
Yeah.
Well, what if I said you could have it easy, effortless, enjoyable, and exciting? That's how I got here, right here, in that way. But I did the S's for a long time, but I just, there was something inside me that said, there's a different way. Yeah. There's got to be a different way. So here I am at age 75, willing to give this out. I'll be speaking, and there'll be some free stuff, but I've got to pass this on in some capacity, and hopefully people will go, wow, he said a lot.
Yeah.
He's a pretty wise guy, or he's a wise guy. But like I said to you, Rob, it's not my wisdom that I want you to entertain. I want to lead you to the doorstep of your own, so you can latch on these things and create the life that you desire, or anyone desires.
So when someone's in that mode where they have, the 4 S's, to use your example, 2-part question. One, how does someone transition from being demonstrably stressed out all the time and frustrated and worked up to being in a life, as you call it, that's effortless and has ease to it?
Okay. So knowing, just first of all, you've got to ask the question, how can it get any better than this? Now, I heard that question from a speaker, Dane here. How can it get any better than this? So when you ask the question, now you'll get an answer, but be ready for the answer. And it doesn't matter if you're S's or E's, because the S's, how can it get any better than this? You'll get an answer because you want one. If it's already on the E side, how can it get any better than this? It'll get better than that. That's one process. And it'll take a little bit of time. But the first thing is choice. Choose. And you mentioned stress.
Yeah.
There's two types of stress. There's eustress and then stress, all right? Let's just call that distress. Eustress is good stress. That's like we're sitting in this chair and there's stress on our butts in the chair. That's good. So it's not we want to get rid of stress. We want to manage that distress that we think is real. So here's the way it would work. If I say to you, and when I speak in the high schools, I'll say, think of a problem or something you're stressed out about to the kids.
Okay.
And then I'll come around, you put it in your hands, that problem, and I'll come around and you can throw it in the wastebasket. Well, they can't throw it in the wastebasket because stress is not something that's visible. It's stressfully thinking or thinking stressfully. So you can change your thinking, change your life. That's part of it. There's more to it but it's all mindset, first of all, to begin to look at things differently.
Yeah. So when you approach someone or you're speaking to a group, how do you walk them through that exercise? First
of all, I get them to look at the power of their thought and how many times they're really not thinking. There's the exercise, it's 1,000 plus 40, and you add it up, and I get to 4090 plus 10, and I say, what is it? They'll go 5,000. Well, it wasn't 5,000, it's 4,100. When I go through it, and they go, oh, wow. And it wasn't that they were deficient in their thinking to get the wrong answer. It's just they weren't really thinking. Their brain was on autopilot. So we've got to expand awareness is one. Expanding awareness in your life is really one of the precursors to change. Pay attention. Look around. Journalize, another step, and keep track of your life because there are no ordinary moments. It's all divine. Time and life are synonymous. They're the same thing. When you're out of time, you're out of life. When you're out of life, you're out of time. I hear people say I'm wasting time. The worst of that is I'm killing time. Wow, that's suicide. When you think about it, see, people have let language come in and take them from really enjoying their life. So come back to the now, the power of now, and be here now. Many people, I'm here with you. I'm not hoping this gets done soon because I want to stay here and talk for on and on and on. But then when we're done, then I'll, walk out and probably go to Tim Hortons to get a coffee and drive back to Owasso. But I'm here right now. I'm not thinking about, geez, what am I going to do? What am I going to eat for supper? No, because I love what I'm doing. I shared with you, I gave up a lot of my life to get here. Yeah. So there's different gratitude, change your thinking, expanded awareness. Don't watch your language, power of language. If you don't want it, then don't speak it. Yeah. So you mentioned you gave up a lot of your life to be here. So walk me through how just how your life has played out to the spot where now you're speaking to people and walking them through these mental exercises. Okay, I'll start when I was a young person. I grew up in foster homes, so I didn't really have any security or that type of thing to where I didn't have any boundaries. I just pretty much raised myself. 68 to 70 through 71, I was in the Air Force, achieved the level of staff sergeant, which was really a pinnacle for me. I didn't know goal setting. I was just kind of like riding on default, and that's why a lot of people live, default or design. So we're going for design now. Yeah. But in 1972, I went to Lansing Community College, and on the wall in the library was this quote. I knew it meant something. I didn't know what. It was by Socrates or Plato. I think it was Socrates. The unexamined life is not worth living. Now today, not totally, but examine the life. So now, as I'm through the years, it stayed with me, and it really means something now. So let's just fast forward. The 80s was, I had over 30 jobs, lived in 17 different places. I was all over the place. I was like playing the pinball game, and I was the pinball, all right? The pinball wizard. And then early 90s, I started doing some community ed projects in community ed. One of them was learning to promote yourself. Change your thinking, change your life. Again, I had the ideas, but I didn't have all of what I needed. I was telling the love of my life, Cindy, that I was creating a program called Creating Truthful Relationships. Oh man, I had the points on there. I look at it now and I go, I couldn't have given that. I could have given something. Now I can do that. So from that, I started to get speaking engagements, and 01 to 03, I did some substitute teaching. I called myself a guest teacher. I loved that work, but just didn't pay enough. So I'm still rolling along, still collecting, if you will, information. Life is going by. And it wasn't until the last maybe 5 or 6 years that I really have gotten into using what I was going through. And lately I've been doing a life review and a life audit to connect the dots. Last year I met a friend, a relative of Cindy's, 95 years old. His name is Frank. And I said, Frank, I like to talk to older people because I am one. And I said, if a young person came to you, what would you tell them on how to be successful? And he said, be alert. I've mentioned that. Be a sponge, because you don't know what you're going to need 5 years from now. That's beautiful. And then we keep talking. Then he says, oh, by the way, connect the dots. And that has made all the difference for me in connecting the dots.
So what does that mean exactly when he said connect the dots, and how did you take that and apply it to your life?
I'll take that, go back to 95, creating truthful relationships. There was some bullet points in there, and I thought, wow, that's really what I want to do now, and I can do it now, and I do it now, but I couldn't have done it then. And some of the other things that have books, there was a book in 1980 that I read, Psycho-Cybernetics, fantastic book. Maxwell Maltz. I just did a book study on it within the last year. Different book. No, same book, different Chuck. It's one of the best books that I have read in the 40 years. And I've got a lot of books like that I've underlined or dog-eared, and I go, wow, all right, let's go. Now we can do that, whether it's books or people that I overlooked, that I could have learned more from. That might be the one that really concerns me. So that's why when I'm with people, I really want to be with them. I read a book called The Untethered Soul, and there's a chapter in there called Contemplate Death. Because this, we like each other. We just met each other. This may be the last time we see each other. I hope not.
Right.
But it could be. And we take that for granted rather than going, man, I really appreciate this. This is fun. So when you're things now, there's nothing that doesn't matter to me or make sense to me. I go, or if something happens, I'm just fascinated by it rather than resist it. Going, what, how? Because now I know it. It's all for something.
Sure. So let's talk about Double Win Enterprises and how that plays out in your business. So for you, if you said, hey, I had a great business growth year, what would that look like, and how does Double Win Enterprises factor into that?
Okay, well, Double Win, let's go to why I picked that. A motivational speaker in the 80s, Dennis Waitley, wrote a book called The Double Win, and The Psychology of Winning was his first program. So I thought, the double win. When I help you win, I win. To the degree, and it was said a different way, to the degree you give people what they want or need, they'll give you what you want or need.
Sure.
That's the double win. And in the double win, when a win for me would be, hey, I saw you speak and you really helped me see things differently. You helped me save my marriage. You helped me do this because of that one thing. And it was, I had to give it first, and I was waiting for the other person to give it to me. So whatever you want, you got to give it first. You want friends? And we knew that. Growing up, we heard, hey, if you want a friend, be a friend. Well, if you want anything, be it or do it. So that's what would be the success for me. And people talking about the double win in terms of how they're leading their life and what they're doing.
Yeah. So I saw in one of the things I saw in the notes that they'd put in the file was credit repair. So I'm sitting here listening. You obviously got big personality, super enthusiastic, right? And then I saw credit repair, and I'm like, all right, I gotta connect the dots.
Okay, all right.
And figure out how this all comes together.
All right. In 2012, I was approached I was in an organization, and there was a fellow that came in. He had a credit repair business, Bruce McInnes out of Maine, and so I got involved, and I learned how to do it. And when I learned how the bureaus operate and how our credit scores are created, I thought, this is really nice. I like doing this. It's a rigged game, first of all. It's rigged, and people who set it up rigged it in their behalf. Okay, so don't think that the bureaus or Experian or any of those, if you see any commercials on TV, they're really there to help you. They're not. So I learned some things that if people actually knew it, they could save themselves a lot of frustration and a lot of money, because your credit score, 720 is prime. If it goes below 720, you're going to pay a high interest rate on loans. So you want to get way above 720. And there's just a few simple things that, first of all, know how to get your credit report. I found out that people don't even know how to get their credit report. I share that with people, how to do that. And that 35% of your credit score is length of credit history. Well, there are certain people that tell you to tear up or cut up your credit cards. Why? Because they're millionaires. Many people need credit cards, but the biggest thing is manage it. Manage it is pay on time when you can. Okay, I know there's a lot of people late now because of the economy, but there's still just a few ideas that if people knew it, they could save themselves a lot of discomfort. Now, I don't know whether I'm going to do that or Cindy. I will help people, but I want to show them how to do it. I don't really have a desire to make money on that part of it. I just want to show people and go ahead and do it. Yeah. Learn it. And Credit Karma is a good tool to help guide you through it. It's not the best for scores, but anyway. So that's how when I think about the system, it's set up not to help us.
Yeah. So looking at, let's take the next 12 months into consideration, and, what are some things that you enjoy doing for the business, and what are some of those things that you want to do more of for the business?
Okay. I want to, I'm creating a program for teens. This information that I've accumulated, we can teach our young people the rules to success, or whatever you want to call it. Everybody's got a different name for it. How to live effectively, so that when even some of the credit repair ideas. All right. So and then I'm on the other side of the spectrum, older people. Yeah. I do really want to awaken the older people that, again, maybe the boomers, my age, 65 to 75 or 80, even folks that are in some of the assisted livings. I want to share with them, number one, they're everyday heroes. They just really need to know that their life it makes a difference, and they've made a contribution. I'm going to tell them that when I get a chance to speak with them. And for those that, there may be some that may even want to start a business. I heard that 1 in 8 people are because of the economy, they're going back to work after retiring. So what are they going to do? So I read this book, Rob. Thanks for asking this question. It's called Strength to Strength by Arthur Brooks. He just recently wrote a book with Oprah. And in that book, he says that people in their maybe 50s, early 60s, when they've got what they want, he up to that point, he calls it fluid intelligence. Fluid intelligence. You got a lot of fluid intelligence. I'm done with that. The other part is crystallized intelligence. That's where you move, you do more coaching, teaching, mentoring. Crystallize. You take all your experience and you put it out differently when you've got the fluid intelligence, you're out there making things happen and all that. And I've done that. And I can still do some of it, but I don't move as fast as I used to. But I can think and I can teach and I can share. So I will be talking to those people about what can you do? What did you do? You're an engineer? All right, let's get you into mentoring young people with what you did. Because some people, they say, well, I couldn't teach. I don't like speaking. Well, I teach public speaking as well. The book Think on Your Feet is one that helps with that. But Toastmasters, this is my 30th year in Toastmasters. So there's tools that people will be looking for. I just want to speak to their listening. And are you ready? So let's form a community of people who can serve and source each other and help each other. So that's really what maybe the older people versus the young. I don't. They're at both ends. In the middle, you guys can all take care of yourself. No, but
so do you have you said you were getting ready to release that program, right? So do you have a new program for teens?
Well,
right?
it's still on the drawing board. I've got the ideas. I'm going to fashion it from a book. You've probably heard 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. That was Stephen Covey. Well, his son Sean wrote a book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens. Dr. Phil's son Jay wrote a book, Dr. Phil's 10 Life Strategies. Well, Jay's is 10 Life Strategies for Teens. So there's a lot of information that I can pull from.
Yeah. And
so, yes, that I will soon.
Love soon. It. So right now, if people want to know how to get in contact with you, how to book you, what is the typical avenue that they do that?
Well, certainly they can go to my website. It's chuckdodge.com. We are removing some of the things out there. As a matter of fact, Rob wanted me to talk about credit repair. That's one thing I'm going to remove for right now or hide it. But my contact information is there. Or my email address is chuck@chuckdodge.com. My phone number, it's on there. You can find me on Facebook. As a matter of fact, I do a live. I'm back on track to do one every day. Talking about some of the things that we talk about, and or something might have happened this morning, and I thought, golly, that's a good topic for today. I really pay attention, and I want to share ideas with others and other people with others because, like I say, we are everyday heroes. Now, I didn't make that up. That was a phrase by Robin Sharma. He's written a book called Everyday Hero Manifesto, and I hope he doesn't care if I use it. I don't think he does. He's got all the money he needs. But
I can feel those cease and desist letters coming in.
Well, they might by that time we'll call it something else. But people really need to know their magnificence. Yeah,
I think it's important. I think especially if anything, people need a very clear direction on how to handle and navigate tangible things that are happening in their lives. I think that's a given. It's very needed, and it's a deeply underserved part of our community right now.
Going back to one question that you asked me earlier about what are the steps that you would take to help someone?
Yeah.
And this is probably the best step anyone could do, and it's just called gratitude. There's a book by Kevin Clayson called Flipping the Gratitude Switch, and he uses the word flip as an acronym. And here it is. This will change your life if you use it. F is for you're frustrated about something. Say you get out of bed and you stub your toe on the corner of the bed. All right, right there. Just don't take that and leave it there. Stop and begin to look into it for its awesomeness, if you will. Well, I had a toe to hit. I had a bed to hit it on. And you start to look at beyond the frustration, what happened. And as you do the L in the flip, then the I begins to come into play. You're initiating gratitude for being able to stub your toe or anything. You can put anything in there. And then as you do that, those 3 steps, and you go into 4, which is P, power up more gratitude, each step takes you away from the frustration. just give that put effort into that and see how that works for you. But do it with anything. Say you get frustrated with your a family member. Okay, I'm frustrated. Look into it for its awesomeness. Boy, I'm glad they're in my family.
Are we though? Are we glad they're in the family? Just kidding.
Well, that's a good. I get. Had to lighten this up a little bit, folks. But the and then you start. The P is power up gratitude for other things. In the beginning, you might say gratitude. Really? Yeah, really. It takes effort because and look for ways to say thank you. Thank you for little things. I don't know if there are any little things, but for things, and just appreciate people for hanging out with you.
Yeah, well, it's definitely something that takes habit and routine, right? It's not something that's going to come naturally. It's a difficult mindset to launch into, especially when you're swimming in a sea of frustration, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I study the law of attraction. Esther Hicks and Hicks-Abraham works, and you have your intention, you're on your way, and something doesn't work right. She doesn't say it's wrong. It's contrast.
Yeah.
It's contrast. In other words, you needed this to get back on track to go over here. And out of contrast is born the clarity for improvement. So she says, you'll never get it wrong and you'll never get it done.
Yeah.
So you asked me earlier, what are some of the steps? The steps keep on appearing. There's a lot of it, and each person will be attracted to a part of it because, oh yeah, I spoke to their listening. Because if you don't speak to someone's listening, it's going, now it'd be more because I have hair, Rob. Yours would go fast.
I don't. A lot more streamlined, a lot more aerodynamic.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's my story and I'm sticking to it. Well, Chuck, I certainly appreciate you stopping by today. And I'll make sure that all of your notes, website, everything is in the show notes for today's episode. Anything else before we wrap today?
You know what? I was just thinking about, there's 2 quotes. Number 1, ships are safe in the harbor, but that's not what ships are for. And a rising tide raises all ships. So let's just be that rising tide and raise the ships.
I appreciate it, Chuck. Thanks for stopping in today.
Thank you, Rob.
Absolutely. All right, everyone, that's going to wrap up this week's episode of the Chamber Podcast. I certainly appreciate all of you watching or listening, no matter what platform you're on. Certainly means a lot. We'll be back with another episode next week. Take care.